The people in the cheap seats, please sit down. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the beginning of the experiencer session. We'll be starting at a moment's time, if not sooner, if we could sit down. Hello, can people sit down? Get their arse in the chairs, please. Could those who are staying late to do their copies at the back seats? Hello, my name's David Moncur. I'm going to speak about the Belfast incidents. Could you sit down? Sandra, stop chatting up the men. Ooh, I could be so cruel. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you'll notice that I'm wearing a Roswell 70 t-shirt and you are not, but he is. Now, he did a conference last week and it was a unique individual about Roswell. There's some excellent speakers, and I was there as well. Only people with really daft mobile phones should have them still switched on. God, it's like warming things up. Right, today we're now going to have the experiencer session, and we've had a very important development with our first experiencer. And thanks to, I was going to call you Colin there for a second. This is Ben Emlyn Jones. Everybody, yay for Ben Emlyn Jones, because like all true targeted individuals, there's no point being a targeted individual unless you're targeted just before you get to the conference. And the various constabulary, rather than pick our particular victim here up with her uninsured car, they, for the whole way from Leeds, they chose to do only a couple of miles up the road in Marlborough yesterday afternoon. And so we've had a bit of a crisis, but due to positivity and goodwill on your behalf, we've had a whip round, and Danielle is now able to sort things out, and that's a big yay and a big happy. So give yourselves a round of applause. And now that my media is copied, we can continue. So we'll say that about this and this about that, and Ben Emlyn Jones.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Sure. But of course, as Miles has said, and as David Moncur said previously, can you hear me all right? Hello? We'll have to adjust this again. All right, you're on. As Miles has said, and David Moncur said previously, this year is very auspicious in terms of anniversaries. And he mentioned the Roswell incident of 1947. And 2 weeks ago, indeed, there was an event in Oxford which I organised, the only event outside the United States of America that marked the 70th anniversary of the Roswell UFO incident. And the very fact that 70 years later people are still talking about this event, and it is an indication that that cover-up did fail, and other cover-ups are failing too. They're failing more than they're succeeding. And that's very much thanks to people like us that it's happening. The Roswell incident, of course, was an event where an artifact of extraterrestrial origin, I've got no doubt that's the case, but however you define extraterrestrial, came to grief on the Earth's surface in New Mexico, USA, and was secretly salvaged by the government. The government then put out a disinformation story starting on the very first day. They first said it was a weather balloon, then they changed their mind and said it was something else. Then they said, oh, it's parachute test dummies. That's what when people saw the aliens. And then many, many years later in 1990, they said, oh no, it was a top secret CIA spy balloon, which was picking up shockwaves from nuclear explosions in the Soviet Union. And the skeptics say, well, there you are, case closed.
Ben, this is very interesting, but it's an experiencer session, not a lecture on Roswell.
I'm coming. I thought she had 20 minutes maximum.
No, but
right.
that's for her.
Oh, right.
You're doing the intro.
Half an hour. Sorry, apologies.
Sorry.
Delusions of
That's
grandeur
because
again.
you.
It's Mike.
Yes.
Mike
No, it's because you did such a good luck thing helping this TI. So let's talk about that.
So basically, what I'm saying is basically that people might laugh at us. Some of you have experienced interaction with beings and with secret government forces. Some of you have members of your family who have. And they harass us in all kinds of different ways. And sometimes ways which appear normal on the surface, but in order to accept them as normal, we have to believe in unprecedented coincidences. And one of those events happened yesterday to the next speaker. The situation she's going to describe is one which can only be one of two things: an extraordinary coincidence, physically possible, impossible to disprove, yet I'd say beyond reasonable doubt. Now, what happened today, I think, as Miles has already explained, I think is the reason why they're going to fail and why we're going to win. Is because when our next speaker was in the position that she was in, the harassment which she was supposed to be put under, the pressure that she was supposed to be put under, and the attempt to break her spirit failed. And it failed because we all got together and supported her, and we all backed her up. We all put in a little bit of money into the pot. She's now can have her car released because she has enough money. So the keepers of this secret, the harassers of targeted individuals, failed to take into account our solidarity and our ability to look after each other. And that, I think, is the most important thing in the world. We completely scuppered their plans. You realise that? Simply with our big hearts and our sense of companionship and care and attention and camaraderie, we have completely undone the plans of the secret government. That's all it takes. As Gandalf said, it's the little acts of kindness, not some great power, that keeps the darkness at bay. You're now going to hear from a lady, a very brave lady, who's speaking for the first time. She's speaking publicly about her experiences for the first time ever. And I want you to give her a big round of applause. It's Danielle.
Thank you. These two have said it perfectly for me, but I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for what you did this morning. You're all amazing. You're all unique. And thank you, and I can get my car back now. So yes, I got to the conference, and I'm talking despite them trying to stop me. I had a very normal life, pretty much, on and off until about 3 years ago. So I'm quite new to this. You are probably all a lot more experienced than me. You probably know a lot more information than I do. I'm in the learning process. I had an extreme, severe, traumatic Kundalini awakening around 3 years ago, where 1 minute I was successfully running my own cake wedding business, and suddenly everything started to fall apart. I started to hear things that nobody else could hear, see things, have visions. I started to become precognizant, psychic, started being able to do readings for other people. My entire wedding cake business just completely fell on its arse. I had a series of occurrences where I literally went through Night of the Dark Soul. The business fell apart. I had a flea infestation in the house. The sewers collapsed in my back garden. They had to dig over the back garden. I started being a slider, everything electrically that I touched. If my energies got too high, I started shorting out. I started putting light bulbs out, electrics in my car, all sorts of lighting up solar lights that have never lit up before in the garden as I'm stood in front of them. And this bizarre series of things started happening to me. This one particular night, as I'm slowly going out of my mind, which at the time I was because I didn't understand what was happening to me, my phone was completely switched off, and a message appeared on my phone which said, "The universe will never give you any more than you can handle." And it stayed on my phone. And I kept closing my eyes and saying to myself, I'm going to close my eyes for 10 seconds. When I open them, this bloody message is going to have disappeared, and it was all, I'm going insane. And I kept closing my eyes and I kept opening them, and that message stayed there all night. And I cried all night. I asked them what I was supposed to be doing next. And they said, I started having downloads. If you've ever heard of downloads, which is just huge downloads of information on quantum physics, on numerology, pi, the meaning of life, everything, very, very heavy, very, very quickly. I couldn't cope with all the information that was coming through, but I started to research, and they said that I needed to help other people awaken. And this is what I try to do now on a daily basis. I've never spoken live before to anybody, but I am on YouTube, trying to help other people go through this awakening process and the Kundalini process, learning that we are all one, we are all energy, we are all vibration. And this is some of the things that they were teaching me. They also taught me to become as pH balanced within my own body as I could be, become less acidic. They told me to stay away from dairy foods as much as possible because that would block up my pineal gland, my third eye. I steer away from alcohol as much as I can. I've given up smoking, bar the couple I've had today because of all the stress, but I'm vaping, as you can see. And throughout all of this process, there is a good and a bad side to this. I have some very good, benevolent guides, angels, ETs, whatever you want to call them, that are helping me through this process. But at the same time, it's almost angels and demons. I also have the interference and the archonic influence coming through as well. I've interacted with people, or one person in particular who I think was maybe a dark magician, Illuminati, who admitted to me pretty much that Diana was murdered because she was such a bloody humanitarian, were his exact words to me. And he comes to me in very vivid dreams that I can almost control and tell him to get lost in, but that's good. And the spiders that everybody has spoken about today, I have seen the spiders. They have been in my room. I've seen them scuttle across the floor and under my bed 2 or 3 times over the past 2 or 3 years now. I'm not frightened of them. To me, from what I understand it, they are 4th dimensional creatures. And as we all start to awaken, it's something that we may all see in the future. We are moving from a 3rd density and we are moving up into a 5th density, where the veil of the matrix, or whatever you want to call it, is slowly falling down. It's starting to glitch. So we are now, most of us who are becoming on this spiritual path, starting to see more and more unusual, crazy things that we've never seen before. And these 4th dimensional creatures, they are stuck in the 4th dimension. They feed off our fear, our anger, our jealousy, our lower chakra feelings. That's why they appear to us. Once we learn as a humanity, as a human race, to move above all of that, to move above the hatred, the anger, the fear, the jealousy, the race wars, everything, the wars, those things will slowly disappear as we go into a new age. We are shifting dimensions. This could take a few hundred years, or it could take just a few years. Hopefully it will be seen in our lifetime, where we can shift over into the 5th dimension, where we do have peace on Earth, and there is no more fighting and no more wars. All the chaos that is happening in the world today that we see, all the Jimmy Savile cases, everything to do with the government, is a revealing of the truth. Things have been hidden in plain sight for so long, but we were unable to see it. And we are now coming to a point where more and more on a daily basis are beginning to see that veil fall down. And one day we'll get to a tipping point which will shift the energy, which will shift us over into the age of Aquarius, which we are heading towards. Everything about the Illuminati, all the signs and the pyramids and everything else that we see in the music industry, etc., is dark and it's evil. But at one time it wasn't. At one time, when it was to do with the Egyptians and past races, it was good. It was used for good. But the darker side have taken on these symbols and they've turned them upside down on the head. One thing that I was told when I woke up was to turn everything on its head, look at everything from a different perspective, in order to actually understand. So everything that we see today is the dark side fighting back, but we're fighting harder. There's more and more of us every day. I have seen aliens come through the wall. They sort of look like, to me, when I saw them, they came through my bedroom wall, they were greys. And if you've seen the film Predator, where the monster guy thing is like an invisible shimmering thing and you can just see the outline, that's what the greys looked like to me when they came through the wall. I also, as the last speaker was speaking about, I had a spiritual pregnancy last year, which was part of the hybridization program. I was pregnant for approximately 12, 13 weeks, and then woke up one morning with no symptoms whatsoever. Everything just went. And yet up until that point, every single day, I was constantly sick and going through every single symptom there could have been as pregnant, and I have 2 children as well. So I know what it feels like to be pregnant. I was told just before this happened, I was going to be creating the third energy. I didn't understand what that meant at the time. But since then, I've come to understand that there is a hybridization program, probably to do with the Zeta Reticuli, and they are trying to continue our race. And there is a lot of children as well that are being born in this world today, that are being born already awake. They already have their pineal glands open. They already have a high awareness. A lot of children that are autistic, Down syndrome, that others have disabilities that we can't understand. Some of those are the new humans that are coming through because they have such a high awareness. We might not understand where they're coming from, but they are part of tomorrow's future for them. So I can't think what else to say. There's a lot. I've been through so much over the past 3 years, and I can't do this on YouTube. I can come out with a lot of stories on YouTube, but I can't go over to the darker side too much. And I felt I needed to come on and try and readdress the balance, because until we actually look at the dark side of things and shine a light on it, it's going to remain dark. And I think that's what each and every one of us is doing. So it's a case of us all grouping together, working together, researching, doing everything you can to find out everything. And each and every one has a piece of the puzzle, a separate piece of the puzzle that when we put it all together completes the jigsaw puzzle. And that's what I think we're all working towards. And just to, it's positive. We are making a shift. And the more we wake up, we will shift towards a positive future, not the New World Order. We will have some sort of New World Order, I think, but it will not be the one that the governments want for us. It's not the ones that the UN is trying to arrange, and Agenda 21 and everything else. One day we will have free energy and things like that. But at the moment, for me, it's a case of trying to get through each day with weird experiences and completely weird stuff. There was a nice white shadow at your place last night that nobody else saw, but I did. And there is benevolence out there. There is not just the malevolent type as well. However, I battle with both. Yesterday being an example, I also I see the numbers regularly, the 1111s, the 222s, the 444s. I know a lot of you do as well. I have so many people coming through saying that they see that too, and I do as well. As far as I understand it, they are benevolent. They are telling us that we are on the right path, that we're going on in the right direction, and to keep having the faith when we're seeing the numbers. It's just encouragement. It's a push. We're being pushed to spiritually grow as much as we can. I also have the the synchronicities. Whatever I see in a day will be repeated again through my pineal gland. If I see somebody knock over a glass of water, guaranteed I'll knock it over later on in the day, or it'll happen again. If I see a ginger cat walk across the road, I will see it again later on in a different place, but it will be the same cat. I have had pre-cognizant synchronicities, two of which are quite significant. One of them was I was taking my dog for a walk one evening. I spoke to another dog walker, and one of his dogs trotted home, and I said, is he safe going across the road on his own? And he said, yeah, he got run over when he was a puppy, so he's very careful about crossing the road and he's fine. This was in the evening. Later on that evening, I saw a ginger cat, go through my garden. Didn't think anything of it. The next morning, my car was due for its MOT. As I'm driving down the road, a ginger cat ran out. The car opposite me that was coming towards me ran over the cat. It was a ginger cat. As soon as I saw it, I rescued the cat. I managed to get it to a vet's. It was fine. It had knackered its back leg, but it was fine. Later on that afternoon, because that had happened to me, I drove extra slowly. I was very aware of what was going on around me. A few hours after that happened, a small child of about 2 or 3 years old ran into the road in front of me. And had I not been driving carefully, I would have killed that child, because it ran out of a nearby garden and it stopped that far away from him. So I have the precognizance. The night before, I had the warning that this was actually going to happen the night before, but I couldn't I couldn't figure it out at the time until it actually happens. And then I go, okay, that's why they told me about the dog getting run over. That's why I saw the ginger cat walking through my garden. Things like that happen to me it's starting to happen more and more on a regular basis. I also notice the dates in the month that are coming up. I know that around the 21st, 22nd, 23rd of nearly every month, you can pretty much guarantee there's going to be an incident like Grenfell Towers, some sort of major event that the shadow government will try and pull, some sort of terrorist attack, some sort of Paris thing. And if you start to look at the dates of that, you will see the patterns within the dates that they are set up. That they are false flags, and I'm not saying that nobody dies, bless them, because people do, but they are set up. They are set up to instill fear in us. They are set up to try and instill control over us. So every time it happens, they can just turn around and say, we need more police on the streets. We need police with guns. We need martial law. We need all of whatever they want to come out with. But again, the more we're aware of this, the more we can actually stop it in the future and just not play their games. I don't watch TV anymore. I hardly listen to the radio. I hardly listen to music. I was told to listen to different frequencies. I listen to Schumann resonance. I listen to earth frequencies. I listen to whichever frequency resounds with whichever chakra I think needs to be worked on at the time, because I'm continually clearing, and that's something hopefully all of us will maybe have a look at. I know this isn't the scary side of the ETs and that, but I want to point out that there is a good side, but I need to try and readdress the balance, not only for myself but for you as well, that there is a lot of hope for the future. So.
Okay, well, thank you very much indeed for that experience. Could we have our next experiencer, please? Our next experiencer. We got one more, 2 more. Where's our experiencer? He's not here, is he? Yeah, okay, come on. Okay, could you just say your name if you wish?
Yes.
Take the microphone, and you've got about 5 minutes, okay?
Cool.
Maybe 6 if the other one doesn't turn up, you go.
Alright, cool. Hello. Hi everyone, I'm not an experiencer myself, but I've got a friend who's had a load of experiences recently, and I had no intention of speaking this evening, but I think just too important not to share, so I'll just tell you the things they've been telling me, and you can make your own mind up. So, this person, no experience of any aliens, any of this, they've never done research in their life. So anyway, they discovered a way to leave your body. And by doing this, the first experience, they were on a ship. They said it was the soul catcher, there were greys there, and these greys were, the souls were flying past in like glass boxes, they were enticing them down, and essentially it was to do with the reincarnation. They showed the wiping, and the grey was essentially, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. There was talk of robot human bodies, whatever that meant, and then when the person came back, they were befuddled, they were bewildered. But what I said, some of this stuff sounds familiar, and I was looking into it. So yeah, that was quite interesting. The next experience they had was with a different entity, and this was to do with energy. And what they said was that the wheels, they're using the wheels, the big wheel and they gave them information about the dates, the names of the wheels, again, which this person didn't know nothing about. And what they said is that they're using the wheels to scan the babies between certain ages on the wheels, and what they're doing is they're combining the DNA of whatever with ours to try and make genius babies. I guess this is to do with the babies who are being born awakened, like the lady just said. So again, another link there. Forgive my nervousness. They had another experience where they woke up in bed with a spider being who was trying to copulate with them, who absolutely stunk. I was like, what the hell is this? Again, we had looked into it. Apparently it's a thing. You guys would probably know more than me. When the greys came back, it was to do with that person had stumbled upon them inadvertently. They came back, and it was a thing of watching us, watching you. They talked about a thing called zoom back technology, which we checked out online, which was a thing which seemed kind of comical. Again, some people might want to look into that. Right, an interesting one was, I think they said, we've been trying to help you. We've been swapping species of plants. They'd taken species back to their Mother Earth. They'd given species to us from their Mother Earth. One of which was a plant called Vilvicia, which had apparently been here for a long time. It lives 1,500 years. Something to do with Vilvicia, which we've not discovered yet, apparently. Again, this person knew absolutely nothing about these things, but we were able to check them out online. Interesting. I just think I'll share them. And the last experience, which was the most profound one they told me about, was to do with reptilians. And apparently, in the previous contacts, they hadn't shown themselves because they're quite, grotesque or quite scary to see. But in this experience, they showed themselves to a degree, and they made themselves kind of human-friendly, if you like. It was a very digital experience, as it was described. And they were able to show her something, which they showed few people in the past, is what they said. And they had to do it the human way, which was kind of a jokey thing. But anyway, what that person experienced in real time was over the ages, as the people were having their babies taken away, and it was like convents, that kind of effort. And they were shown over the ages, baby after baby being taken away. And then they were shown from the other side, the reptilians. And again, it was hard for them to describe things, but they described like morgues and different levels, which seemed like nursery kind of things. And again, they seemed to be the males on that side apparently, with the nurses of the baby. And again, it showed them being extremely upset when they were being taken away. And basically, what they said was that they lived for thousands of years. They were the equivalent of teenagers, and they've had enough. Like the rest of us sitting in this room, we've had enough of the shit that's going on right now. And they apparently seem to be the equivalent. And what they said was, bring more people. This person has discovered a way to interact with these beings, and they said to bring more people. So, like I said, excuse my nervousness, but I just thought I'd share. Nice to meet you all.
Okay, folks, that is it. Thank you very much indeed for the attendees. Thank you very much for Vanessa. Thank you very much for Dave. And thank you very much for Jane for her insights and the experiencers themselves. And thank you to you for coming to bases at the I was going to say the barge, but bases at the Black Swan. The next big event is Glastonbury Symposium at the end of this week. The next event after that will be in, I think Taj has got a conference coming up in November. So the next one is going to be the main bases one in Dublin, which is a major event. It's got 2 days of tours with Terry Cassidy and Maria Wheatley in Ireland. There may be a tour where I can take you to Alien Mountain, where my colleague Lawrence John was abducted 4 times by the Fae, or possibly something similar, near St. Patrick's Chair in Well. That is a expensive day out because it's a good 2.5 hours on a bus, but that's a possibility. But the main event is in Dublin, and there's a good ground crew there, 3 days of presentations and lectures and things like that, with Eamon Ansborough also, who was at Bases 2016, and he has developed a faster than light communications device for contacting ET. He's an astronomer talking about ET. Anyway, that's it. The hotel has got a great service available of drinks and refreshing other things, which I seek you to go and enjoy, and have a good night. Thank you very much indeed. That's a wrap.